Hi everyone, welcome back to the PM Schools YouTube channel. Today I am delighted to welcome Piyush Sharma with us. Hi Piyush, how are you?
Hey Khanjan, I'm all good. How are you?
I'm great too. And Piyush, I'd like you to just introduce yourself and your journey in your own words.
Sure, thank you. Hey everyone, this is Piyush Sharma, and I'm a product manager from Cure.Fit. I have done my postgraduate program from Indian School of Business, and I have worked in Oracle Financial Services as a software developer and in a startup called Fay Bikes, a product manager role. I'm grateful to be here, and I am looking forward to this interview.
We are also delighted to have you, Piyush. So, because Piyush has been a software developer, and again, we have a large chunk of PM aspirants who would like to shift from software development domains or rather development domains to product management domains. So, we'll do a short story piece with Piyush where he'll share his journey. Okay, so today we are going to do a mock interview, which is going to be a root cause analysis mock interview. So,
Okay.
right now I am communicating this for our viewers, but when you go to the interview you might not actually know that it's a root cause analysis, so please focus on the kind of problem statement that I'll give to Piyush. So hi Piyush, welcome. Today your problem statement is that we are a company which is into providing a platform for service providers. These are all individual freelance service providers to consumers, so it's like a C2C service provision platform. And we have observed that over the past week, our daily active users have declined by around 6 to 7%. So please identify the reasons for these, and based on the reasons, what would your approach be in solving this problem for us?
Okay, great. So Khanjan, I would like to start with summarizing the problem which you gave me so that we are on the same page. So the issue which we are trying to find today is that the DAUs, that is the daily active users for this service booking or service-based platform, has gone down as on 6 to 7%, right? So I have a few clarifying questions which I would like to ask first so that I know the context, and then I'll start building my framework and how I'm going to solve this. So
Okay.
first question which I would like to ask is, when you mean service booking, what services are we exactly providing? Like when you say C2C, so what services or what kind of service we are doing?
Yeah. So these are mainly, I would say, the home related services or personal lifestyle related services. So you can consider it as a platform where various electricians come, plumbers come, interior designers, salon professionals. So anything that, let's say, an individual would do, right? It could be related to health, grooming, home improvement, home repairs, vehicle repairs, anything of that sort.
Okay. My second question to you is, when we say DAUs, that is the daily active users, what do you exactly mean by that? Like what activity are you referring to? Whether it is like opening the app or visiting the website, or whether it is like browsing the app or website, or whether it is like completing a booking and like booking a handyman service.
Very good question. So yes, here we term our daily active users as the users who come to our platform and they actually complete the bookings. So they are also essentially our transacting users.
So basically here, when the DAUs are fallen, that means that the number of bookings has fallen down.
Yes.
I would also like to clarify the time frame, whether this is happening very recently, like over a week or so, or whether it has some pattern. Like, is it a one-time event or is it a like pattern? It has some.
Yeah, so over the past few weeks, it had seen like a consistent growth. But in the last week, so let's say today we are standing at Friday. Since last Friday, we have observed that it has been a declining graph.
Okay, and that is around 6 to 7%.
Yeah. So let's consider that a week-on-week reduction in the DAOs is around 6 to 7%.
I also forgot one last question which I wanted to ask. Which platform is this drop happening? Whether it is happening on only app or website?
Yeah, so fair question. Now we don't actually have a website, so we just have like a landing page kind of a website where we read out them to a mobile app. So we only have a mobile app.
Got it. I'll just take 2 minutes of time and I'll just write down my thoughts, like how I want to approach this, and then I'll present it to you, and then we can start.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can start. So how I'm planning to approach is that I will just share with you the overall framework which I'm going to follow, like the different components within that, and accordingly then we can go through them one by one and try to figure out what is the cause for this. So since this looks like a very this cannot be a technical problem. So first I'll start with my product which I'm handling, that which can be a cause. Like there might be some technical changes done, or there might be some app version released, or there might be some fault in the app, like technical issues because of which the app might be crashing. So first I'll go forward with the product changes, or like my product. Second thing I will be going towards is, if that doesn't happen, Then I will look towards what other teams have done in the last week, like what they released last week, apart from my team, which might have caused this issue.
Yeah.
Apart from this, if even this does not cause this, then I will start looking towards within the company. Like, was there any strategy change done, or was there a marketing message given out to users which might have caused the change in the user behavior or the trend? And lastly, even if all these three of internal factors are not the cause, then I would like to go towards the external factors, which can be some political changes or some news changes in the specific industry, which might have affect our users to come to our app. If you have any specific questions for me on this framework, I'm happy to answer.
No, this works. Let's just go into the framework and then we'll see in between.
So since we are looking towards the product first, I would like to check first and foremost whether when the tool which we are using to check whether this data which we have received, that a drop of 6 to 7%, whether the tool is working fine or not, whether that, since it can be a third party tool, right? So they might have some issues there. So whether is the tool fine and the data we are getting, is that accurate?
Yeah. So when we were observing this decline, we had gotten the reports, and we had seen if all the data is being pushed in the correct manner, or in the normal manner, and it is working fine.
Okay, great. Since the tool is correct and the data which we're getting is correct, one other thing which I would like to consider is, like, have you faced any such similar issue in the past? Like, have you seen anything like this, like a drop of users in the past?
We have, obviously, but not in the recent months.
Okay, great. So this can be some, so I would then strike out as a specific pattern that it might happen on any specific day or any specific day of the week. It is not happening that kind. Okay, great. So then I would like to move towards the product itself. Like, I would like to see the product which I am handling, right? So suppose in this case, in the service booking, so if my product is, I'm handling the service product, I would like to check first that whether in the entire user flow of the journey, where the user is failing, and then also I will be checking whether is it because of any existing changes we did or we released, or like also I'll also be checking whether this is happening for any new users or whether it is happening for the old users. So I'll start with the users first, because it cannot be the scenario. So is it happening for the new users or it is happening for the existing users?
No, so there is no certain pattern observed. It's like a consistent, you can say there's an equal decline between both.
Okay, equal decline between both new and users. And is this decline specific to any specific region, like demography of the users, like in the regions which we are offering these services? Is it spread across informally, or is there any specific spike in some of the regions?
No regional differences are observed.
Okay, great. So then that brings me to the changes which we might have done.
Okay.
So did we release any specific changes over the last few weeks, or very specifically over the last week, where we started seeing the trend to go down?
Yeah, we did like release an update, and the update had merely some cosmetic changes.
So basically we improved the UI UX improvement experience for the user.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think in this case, we should analyze the entire funnel where the user goes through, in terms of the point where he starts his journey on our app and the point he reaches where he does the booking. And we'll try to figure out where exactly this drop off might be happening, due to which the bookings have gone down. Okay. So I'll just lay out the process generally which happens in the funnel, and just correct me, or if there's something you want to add there, if I might have missed something. So basically, I'm considering this is a normal app, like basic app which we generally have for a service booking. Suppose if I log into my app and I'm already, since this is happening to informally to both new users and to the login user, I will take the cases of already existing users. So everything, the sign up is done, the login is done, and the user knows the entire structure of the app. So he's been using it. So now my user comes to my app, he launches the app, then he starts browsing towards on his homepage. He starts browsing towards the specific handyman or specific repair or service he's looking for. And then going into that section, he starts going through the list of service providers which we have, then selecting one of them. Then he goes to the detail page, goes through and then checks his rate, what the rates and what's the time slot available for booking. And accordingly, then the user selects that specific service provider and does the booking. Now, is that flow fine, or do you want any specific changes here?
No, that flow works.
Okay, great. So in this entire flow which we just discussed, do we see drop-offs only in booking? Like I already asked, but I just want to clarify once more. Do we see the drop-offs only when the bookings happen, or do we see drop-offs on the homepage or some places? Why I'm asking this is because there might be some cases where some technical issues have crept in when we released these changes last week, because of which the experience might have worsened for the users on the homepage or on the specific level 2, level 3 pages.
Okay. Good that you clarified that. So, what we've observed is that at least the discovery element, right? So, on the home page, when the user used to discover the maybe the service providers and the booking options, all of that remains consistent. So, you might want to dig deeper into the funnel.
Okay, great. That really helps. So then I'll start look at the funnel since the discovery is happening properly. So maybe like then we need to look towards the later part of the funnel where the user actually tries to book. So suppose there is a user who then suppose he selects a plumber. So he has selected this category as plumber, and then he gets a list of all the plumbers. And here I would like to check whether the all the list whether the list of all the that specific category is it populate is it populating fine? Whether there is any drop off here, it's fine. So then the user is able to select one of these specific plumbers. Then he moves towards the detail page, this plumber detail page, and then he goes now here. Did we do any specific changes on this page, the detail page of the service provider?
Yeah, we did. So we figured out from our research that providing more details and background on the service providers would probably help the users get more make more informed decisions. So we just have added more information.
Okay, so when we have added more information, I'm considering that the basic information which we provide generally, which is the name of the user and the number of bookings he has completed, the number of reviews he has done, the price he takes, and the feedbacks. Apart from this, do we have anything extra on this? Have you added
Yeah,
here
we
something?
just basically added a few reviews that come for that particular service provider. So there's like a review section that has been added, and we also added some custom services that that particular serviceman would provide or service person would provide, right? So, for example, not all plumbers know how to, let's say, install fixtures, or maybe not all salon professionals know how to do a certain kind of hair treatment. So those kind of specific custom details we have added, and these are long text answers, so they can be added by the service providers themselves, or if they want assistance, we can do it for them as well.
Okay, great. So I would like to focus on this part of the funnel because this is the most recent change which we have done, and we have also given the liberty to the specific service providers to add the content themselves, which might cause the specific clickable elements like basic buttons or basic CTAs call to actions, which might user take to make the booking. So
Sure.
when we have made these changes, I'm assuming that generally when we in such kinds of scenarios, the booking button or the booking feature generally stays on the top. So have you made any changes there, or like, and we have started adding these custom elements? Have you pushed down the specific booking button so that once the user sees the entire details about the specific provider, then he goes and starts the booking?
Yeah, that is happening.
Okay, so then I think that it can be one of the scenarios due to which the users who might be friendly to the older design, which was like the button which was on the top of the page has gone to the bottom of the page, and they might not be able to find it. They might have to do a few more scrolls. So can we check with the analytics team and see whether the scrolling, whether that can be one of the issues, and we can figure out maybe like if the user has to scroll, because generally in these cases we track by using firing a event whether the scroll was done or not. If the users are going back without doing that scroll, then maybe that is the scenario because they are not able to find that.
Sure. Yeah. So that's a fair point, and that seems to be the problem here. I think you identified it correctly.
Okay. I think apart from this, there might also be a few cases which we should consider,
Yeah.
because this cannot be the entire scenario. Why
Yeah.
I'm thinking in such a way is because even though this has happened, generally a person who is looking for this booking a service, generally if he's not able to find a booking button, then he might scroll. It
Yes.
might not be like it can be the case of few users who did not do this, but it can also be the case that few folks who did scroll and then maybe they move to the next step and there something might have happened. So let's check for that also. And apart from that, I also want to check a few external factors because we are living in strange times. We have a specific pandemic situation going on, and that can also impact. So generally, I would also try to look towards the fourth point which I mentioned, the external factors which are happening. Okay, so on the booking page element, so when suppose if the user is also going towards the booking page element, was there any specific changes done on that page also, like when the final page is done?
No. So the checkout, essentially the checkout is what we call here, the booking page. That's the same.
Okay, the checkout element is completely same. So the other team which is handling the checkout process, no changes have been deployed from their end. So we can rule out that project. And apart from this, has there been any specific company-wide strategy change, or has there been any specific change in terms of the marketing which we used to do, because of which this can cause the users to not come or not book on our app?
Not really. So just when the pandemic situation hit, of course, we had to because it's a service provision company where there is a personal contact or a personal meeting required. So we had to, the PR teams that we had, they had done some campaigns around communicating that we are COVID safe, or rather we do adhere to all the COVID guidelines, and there were a few advertisements that were floated, but those were not in the last 1 week.
Okay, got it. And did we specifically announce these changes on the landing page of the website and the homepage of our app?
Yeah.
But not in the last week?
No, they have been there since around a few months.
Okay, got it. And also, I would like to check for the external factors, like from outside of the company. Since this is a COVID era, so I would like to consider specific changes which might have happened in terms of the industry which we are looking at. There can be some scenarios where some news which came in terms of did any of our service provider who are providing the service, did that test any positive? Or I would also like to check in there whether there was any lockdown done in a specific region. So hasn't been any specific news for this industry in terms of guidelines which they need to follow, because like the country is opening in phase by phase. So is there any specific guideline for this, again a lockdown or something?
Yeah, so what has happened is that a lot of residences, right, a lot of societies, they have essentially put up their own restrictions on outside people coming in.
Okay.
Right. That could be probably what can be one guideline that can be useful to you.
Yeah, I think that can be one of the scenarios, because if the outside folks are not allowed inside, maybe because of the scare again, then the users who might want to book, they won't be booking. They would be looking for someone local which are allowed inside. Then that can be one scenario. Apart from that, I also like to see, did government announce any specific changes, or did anything happen in terms of did we find any person who was providing the services who was tested positive and media picked it up and raised it out of proportion?
No, nothing that would. So there were certain, let's say, food delivery agent related news that spread, but that was not directly to a type of service that we provide or the type of safety that we can afford to adhere to.
Okay, got it. And one last thing I would like to check is that since we are also checking all the external factors, is I would like to do check two last things. One is the competitors, and one is user behavior changes or the trends due to these. So did any competitor recently came up or started doing a specific campaign which might have caused users to shift to that platform and not use ours?
Nothing that was, again, I mean, they've been doing what they've been doing, but nothing that was launched or that just got initiated in the last week.
Okay, got it. One thing I would like to check is the user trends. So basically the users which we have generally. So in those entire scenario, the entire usage trends, has that significantly fallen? Not just fallen in terms of obviously it has fallen here, but the trends of using these services hasn't fallen over the last 1 week due to external factors.
So, I would like to ask you a cross question on that. It's an app, right? It's a mobile app. So as a PM, what would you look at on the Play Store to kind of validate this? Or because
so I think I would start looking at the app install numbers and the customer feedbacks. So these two things I think would be helpful in me determining what can be the cause here.
Also uninstalls, right? What I personally feel is that a lot of the apps that we used to use pre-COVID, during the lockdown phase, we did not even open those apps or click on those apps. So they were there. We did not go and uninstall them, but they were not updated. And then when we finally went there after 2-3 months, we either would update those or we would uninstall those.
Yeah.
So yeah, even those you could check, but yeah, nothing of that sort. So I think, Piyush, you really covered all the aspects, and I think if you want to probably conclude, you can.
Okay, thanks, Khanjan. This has been really interesting. So I'd like to summarize this now. The problem which we are solving for is the drop in the DAUs for the service booking platform over 6 to 7%, and we went through an inside to outside approach where we first check the internal factors and we move towards external factors. While checking towards the internal factors, we found out that the recent changes which were done in the last week towards improving the user interface and adding a few custom elements that caused users to not able to find out the exact booking way and the booking actions. Yeah. Because of which we saw a drop, user went to that part of the page and then went back because he was not able to find how to book. Address this, maybe what we can do is we can do further testings here, and maybe we can launch it to our internal users first. We can launch it to the internal company folks, and then we'll launch it to a specific set of our super users to take their feedback. Apart from this, what we can also do is we can start looking towards any specific issues raised by these customers, by maybe like in terms of a support channel or any feedback left by them in a Google Play Store. Apart from them, when we started going towards external factors, we realized that it can also be caused by some of the changes, the guidelines mentioned by the housing societies in specific areas, and that can cause the users to not use these services. For this, basically, like, this is totally out of our control. But yeah, we can, what I think we can do from a company point, from a business point of view, is that we can do a stronger marketing in this sense that we are totally COVID safe, and we go through all the measures, all the safety guidelines provided by government, and all our service providers also do that. And I think that should really help in getting these numbers back on track.
Sure. That was wonderful. So I do not really know many more points that I can add. Probably you just covered it very beautifully. Next section, which is how did you transition from a software development background to a product management background? And I think you've done it pre-ISB itself, right? So a lot of people think that you need to go to a B school in order to do that, and I am an example of that. Not that I had to do it, but it just happened for me that my journey was started that way. But how did you do like a lateral switch, or rather a transition from this development background to a product management background?
Okay, sure. As I already mentioned in the start, I have worked with Oracle Financial Services for 3 years as an applications developer. So there I was working on the banking systems and the payment related system. But the thing is, generally, it usually happens is that people want to take towards more managerial positions. And I did not want to move forward in a technical role. I wanted to build products, but I also wanted to control the design aspects and the strategy aspects of the things. And that's why I thought that I should take a stab at this role. When I started researching, I found out that the product management is one of the great way to go forward, which I wanted to achieve. And I realized that if I want to break into product management, I cannot directly take in a very senior role. And the only way which I can do this, like which I worked for me, is by start approaching the startups, like very nascent stage startups, which are looking for experienced folks in terms of the software experience. Because generally that is the way you move to a product management role. It can be either you generally stay in a software role for some time and then you move towards the product role in the same company or in a different company. Or as you said, you generally do an MBA and then move towards the product role. So the nascent startup way worked for me, because generally these folks are looking for people who are dedicated enough to work on this exciting project. So Faybikes came to the rescue for me. It is an electric mobility domain startup. I approached the folks and I presented my case in terms of that they were actually looking for product managers, and like it was a mixed kind of role. Like it is more like a technical product manager. So my role there was not just like product manager, but also like development of the product, also in terms of coding. So since it was a very small company in terms of like just 10 employees, so they took a stab at it and that actually worked for me. I worked with them for around 7 to 8 months, and then at the same time, so like at the time when I was in Oracle, I realized that I need to do further studies. So I started applying for these colleges, and luckily ISB worked for me. And those after 8 months, I moved to college. So after that, like basically I realized that I want to move back to product role, and hence I just focused towards the product roles only when we had placements, and Cure.Fit worked for me.
Sure. That's a really well put story. And I really feel that this is a good way for anybody who wants to break, especially from technical domains to a more managerial or a more product management related domain. You need not be like you need not transition overnight, and you need not consider yourself, you need not think that you'll get all of the product responsibilities right away, and that you'll shift from a technical to a purely managerial background. Probably taking interim steps would also help, and also taking projects which are outside of your job description, right? Especially if you're in a tech background, and if you are anyway working on codes of a product, then asking why that product is necessary, focusing on the strategy of that product, seeing how that product is marketed outside. Maybe those kind of pro bono or proactive initiatives would also help you break into product management in a much better way.
I totally agree. And I'd like to add that in that role, mostly what I learned about product management was actually by doing those projects. Like as you said, you should take more projects in those stages. So I learned whatever about what a PM does by doing those tasks. And actually that helped me in converting my ASB application.
Perfect. Okay, this was great, Piyush. I hope we can further collaborate for more such mock interviews or maybe some other product management concept related conversations. For all of our viewers, if you found this video helpful and if you need any guidance from me, Piyush, and the PM School content, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I'll leave Piyush's handle and my handle in the description box. And if you have any questions on this particular case, then please comment below so that we'll bring Piyush to answer those questions for you, or maybe I can take a stab at answering those. Thank you, Piyush. We hope you stay safe and take care. All the best.
Thanks a lot, Khanjan.